Hey guys, it's Austin here with Out Jeeping, and in today's video we're going to be talking about throttle position sensors, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace it on this 99 Cherokee right behind me, which has the 4.0 straight 6. And it's going to be a similar process if you have the 2.5 liter 4-cylinder. And make sure you guys stick around to the end of the video because I'm going to be showing off some 5x7 LED headlights by Superi, and I'm going to be giving you guys the opportunity to be able to win them because I'm actually giving them away. So let's get started. Alright, so we're underneath the hood here, and as you can see we got the straight 6 4.0, and our throttle position sensor is actually located on the back side of the throttle body. It's actually right here where this white connector goes into. Alright, so let's talk about the throttle position sensor, also known as TPS for short, what it actually does to your engine. In easy terms, it basically tells the computer what you're actually telling the engine to do. So as you're pressing down the gas pedal, it's going to communicate to the computer saying that you're putting under a heavy load, and that corresponds with how much fuel is going to be directed to the engine through your fuel injectors. It all kind of works together, and it also communicates with the transmission to be able to shift properly. So if you're wide open throttle and you're in a higher gear, it's going to tell the transmission to downshift. So this might kind of help diagnose some of your issues, because a throttle position sensor, when they go bad, they can cause a lot of different problems and leave people lost. They can even pop up some transmission check engine lights. They can have a check engine light, just saying throttle position sensor. This one on here actually does not have any check engine lights, but what's actually going on is it actually has a high idle. It's not happening all the time, but about 80% of the time you're driving it, it'll just have a high idle, and once you put it in park, it'll rev up to 2,000 RPMs, and it gets really annoying. Sometimes I don't even need to press the gas when just going through subdivisions and stuff like that. So I know that's going to be the issue today, and we're going to be replacing it with a Mopar part right here. The reason why I spent $70 on getting this Mopar throttle position sensor is actually because these sensors right here, they're actually pretty sensitive on what you actually replace them with. I've had experiences where I've had friends, just use a $30 one from the auto parts store. They work for a little bit, but they're not really good in the long run. So unfortunately, it is kind of expensive just getting the original Mopar replacement, but these have tighter tolerances, so they're not going to have any sloppiness inside it because this is a really sensitive sensor. Another thing I'll mention, if you're going off-roading, you're in high water, or you're just washing underneath the engine bay, make sure that your TPS is dry, or all the sensors that are around the throttle body. But the TPS is actually really sensitive if it gets underwater, if it gets a little bit of water in it. You're going to have high idle. Sometimes you might not even be able to start it up. So just keep an eye out for that, and obviously if it gets water in it, it's pretty much ruined and you're going to have to replace it. Sometimes you do get lucky, sometimes it dry out, but this one right here, I think it's on its way out for sure because it's been doing this for the last couple of months. But to change out the sensor right here, it's actually pretty straightforward. So we're going to get at it. It's just only a couple screws. Alright, so this is not necessary, but for filming purposes, I'm just going to remove this top of the air box over here so that way you guys can see a little bit better. I'm just going to pop off these clips. Just set that to the side for now. Alright, so with the throttle position behind here on the throttle body, all we have to do to replace it is just disconnect the electrical connector. You just pinch it down, back it off, and then there's going to be 2 screws that are in here, and it's actually going to be a T20. You want to be careful with these because sometimes the screws actually corrode inside of the throttle body if there's any water that was present in the engine bay. I've had it where I've actually had to break off the sensor because the screws actually stripped out and I had to get vice grips in there, but I think I replaced this one with a used one before, so these should actually come out nicely. Alright, so now that we have both the screws out, before we remove the sensor, we're going to take a look at how this is actually positioned. So if I kind of let go, this is actually kind of rotating towards the passenger side because this is actually spring loaded inside. So when we put the new sensor in, we're actually going to have to clock it the same way. That way the tab from the throttle body meshes with the little insert that's in the sensor over here, and that way you get it on the correct side. So we're just going to make sure that when we reinstall this, we're going to have the sensor clocked towards the passenger side. So now we can just remove this. Alright, so maybe you can see right here is the little tab that's protruding from the throttle body. And that's going to mesh right inside here on the throttle body. You can see that there's two little grooves. So wherever it lands, where we're going to clock it to the passenger side, that's where we're going to line it up in. And before you install it, you want to make sure you have your rubber O-ring on here. This kind of helps keep some of the water out. Alright, so I got it clocked to the passenger side. And then as you can see, it's spring loaded. With the Mopar ones, they did come with some new screws with some red Loctite on there, so I'm just going to reinstall new screws. Alright, so with that tightened up, we'll take our connector and plug it back in. And now I'll just go put the air box back on. Alright, so now one last thing I'm going to do is actually reset the ECM, and the reason why I want to do that is because the throttle position sensor, it actually stores data inside the ECU. So now that I put an actual good sensor in there, it's going to have different values than what the bad sensor is reading. So it could actually have an opposite effect of, it could actually throw a check engine light because now it's reading new values, even though it is correct values. But by disconnecting the battery right here, we're actually going to drain basically the capacitors that are in the ECU. So I'm just going to disconnect the negative and positive terminal, hold them together for about 30 seconds, and it should totally reset the ECU. Alright, now we can reinstall them. Alright, so that's pretty much it for the TPS. Alright, so if you guys recall from a couple of videos ago, I actually showed these guys off. These are 5x7 LED headlights by Superi. These are their new design that they just came up with. And basically with this one, it's kind of cool because it actually has a driving light, which is actually kind of red. So it might be cool for off-roading. I don't think it's road legal, at least here in Wisconsin it's not. They do come with a wire adapter if your H4 connector is different than a Cherokee. I know there's a couple different configurations out there. They got a wire diagram, so it's all plug and play if you have any wiring issues. Then they also come with some pigtails over here, and they actually got two extra connectors coming out the back here, and one's going to be for your driving light. Then they also have an integrated turn signal right here, so actually when your turn signal's on, this is going to light up similar to actually what a Mustang taillight is, because it kind of, you know, does the 1 2 3 1 2 3, so which is kind of actually cool. Alright, so I'm going to be installing these real quick. I'm not going to show you guys how to do that because you guys see me do it 100 times. But I'm not going to be wiring it all in with the running light and turn signal because I'm actually going to be giving these guys away to one of you guys. So make sure you guys stay tuned and see how you can enter to win these headlights. Alright, so this is what it looks like with these bad boys installed. Let's go turn them on. Alright, so as you can see for the light pattern, these three lights that are up here, this is going to be your low beam, and as you have your high beam on, it's going to have all these lights, so the two outside ones as well as the one that's under here, and these things are actually pretty bright, just as bright as the other brand I installed about a couple months ago on this Jeep. Alright, so here's how you can win these headlights that are right here. It's pretty simple. All you have to do is just basically comment on this video below. Tell me about your Jeep projects that are going on. Tell me about how my channel's benefited from you. Tell me about how these headlights can benefit your Jeep project. And I'm basically just going to pick the best comment, and I'm actually picking it Black Friday, so that's this week. And make sure you have an email that's ready for me, so if I pick you, I can get your shipping address. Alright guys, that's going to be a wrap to this short video. Hopefully you guys still learned something. I'll post a link in the description below on where you guys can find that Mopar throttle position sensor as well as these 5x7 LED Superi headlights. I want to thank Superi for sending these out to me, and hopefully you guys can win them, so make sure to comment below and I'll pick a winner this Friday. Also, make sure to check out the Out Jeeping Etsy store. You guys can buy some Out Jeeping decals. I got them in a variety of colors and sizes, as well as J10 and XJ versions. So I'll post a link in the description below and where you guys can find that as well. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the Out Jeeping YouTube channel. It really helps this video is coming. I got some more suspension work to do on this Jeep coming real soon, so stay tuned for that. If you have any more questions or comments, make sure to post them below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.